Hello, everyone out there. This is Snake Otacon here, and this is going to be the first of many of our podcasts. So stay tuned for everything that you're going to listen to, and we're going to have a fun time talking about and discussing things about games that we love and love to hate sometimes in some cases. I am here with my good buddy Dark Sinister. Say hello.
Hello, everyone.
And the first part of our podcast today is going to be talking about Destiny 2 and its current actual state and how everything is working right now as is. Our pros and cons are as follow. We're going to start talking about the pros and cons of the game and what we would also like to have changed. So, starting off, the pros of the actual game. Yes, it is a looter shooter, and it does have loot, and it is a shooter. So that's one of the really good pro parts of the actual game is you can consider it a looter shooter. Now, one of the things that I for one do like about the actual game is the constant amount of loot that you are going to acquire as you're playing through the actual game. Um, there are other things like as I'm going over here real quick, and which is our inventory vault. We can go in here and we can grab anything from our vault whenever we would like. The only downside is, and this is one of the actual cons of the game for me, is when you're grabbing something at the actual level that it is, it's not going to be very useful in any of the firefights. You have to upgrade it to make it be useful. What do you think, Dark?
Um, I do like the vault system. There are the increased inventory that they have added with the last couple of expansions has been extremely useful because I mean it used to only be 100 spaces, somewhere around that, and now having around 500. Considering at the moment I only have about 3 things in my vault, which I didn't even know I had to begin with. It was very nice. I do wish the power level, slight gripe here, was a little bit higher, but I understand why they have it set the way they do so that people cannot artificially inflate their numbers with stuff that they've just been hoarding and leveling up forever. Although you can basically still do that to a certain extent once you get a good enough collection going, but other than that, I don't really have a lot of complaints about the vault. The vault is good. It was a good idea. It was in, and it's really good to have in the sequel.
Alright, and the next thing that I want to talk about, if we go up here on the top of this little part of this actual tower, is the thing called the Iron Banner, which is here this actual week, which
The Iron
is
Banner
one of
I gotta
the
check this.
pinnacle PvP uh, modes in this actual game. It is a sweat heavy, hardcore type of game mode that you can even possibly think of. My pros of it is you'll get loot. Yes, it's really good about getting you loot. The con on it
The
for
Iron
me
Lords will watch
is
your guardian, but don't do
the
it for free.
grind for a lot of that actual loot, and it takes a long time to do
Might is
one
a
of the
dragon.
quests
Fight,
for
guardian.
the Iron
No
Banner.
one will fight for you.
The bounties, on the other hand, you say, Dark.
Um, yeah, I basically agree with everything
Come
you
back
just said.
stronger into the fire,
Not to
guardian.
mention if a lot of if anybody listening here plays this game, you know that right now the Crucible is not exactly the most fun to be dealing with on a good day because of a can make Iron Banner especially sweaty, and in some cases, until you grind out to a certain gear score or power level, just frankly more of a headache than it is really worth, even with the gear involved, because eventually you'll just get to a point, you'll just get into a couple of games where you just feel like you're smashing your head straight into a brick wall about 1,000 times. So, yeah, it has its good things. The Pinnacle gear is very nice. The grindy quests are doable, but again, grindy. So it is a time investment. So you personally have to weigh the cons of that. Do I have time to grind all of this out? Versus, how bad do I want this loot? You know, do I really want the armor set that they're selling? Which, personally, the armor set that they are going with for this banner, really nice. Not gonna say it's not worth the grind.
Which I am currently wearing on my character.
Yes.
If anyone wants to know what that one is, it is legitimately the very first Iron Banner set that was ever put into Destiny 2. This set is what they called Ephrodites, which is also a hunter that was part of the Iron Lords. Now, the only part of the set that I'm not currently wearing is the boots, which I'm currently wearing the Frosties that allows me to get basically all of my cooldowns or rapidly cooldown for all of my abilities, which is a very beneficial exotic right now, especially with the new subclass, which is Stasis. So, with any other aspects of the Iron Banner, it is grindy, just like about 95% of everything that's in this game is very grindy, and especially the quest. Speaking of the quest, that's a nice actual segue to the next actual topic. The quests themselves, such as the exotic quest. The exotic quests are by far probably one of the most grindiest of all quests, because there's so many different types of things that you have to do in those actual quests. What would you say, Dark?
Well, considering that last night we just got the exotic quest done for the Stasis rocket launcher, which, let me go into my inventory because the name escapes me at the moment. The Salvation's Grip. This quest, and a couple of nights ago we also did the Xenophage quest, which, in my opinion, probably has one of the most annoying ending sections I have ever played in a while.
It was probably one of the worst ones I've ever done in my own time of actually playing any of the exotic quest.
But they are very grindy. But, and I've said this to Snake on at least twice so far, at least with the Xenophage, the quest was worth it because the gun is very good. With all the headache and everything in it, the gun is very good. The gun was worth the headache. I have not tried the Salvation's Grip yet, so I cannot give an opinion on that one yet. But
the Salvation's Grip, for what it is probably a really good one to actually use if you are a fan of grenade launchers, because of the freezing mechanic that it can do. So it can be a really good exotic if you're into grenade launchers, but for me and my play style, I don't use grenade launchers. I, for one, bringing up my inventory actual character, I use scout rifles, sidearms, and machine guns, and sometimes the swords.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my current actual setup right now is the Dead Man's Tale, amazing scout rifle that is exotic, and that quest was very entertaining in how you actually approach that one. I have the 7th Seraph sidearm, which has auto-loading holster, which makes any one of these guns just god tier, because you can have it in your holster and it'll automatically load it if it doesn't have its full magazine. And especially for heavy like machine guns, it helps it dramatically. And I do mean dramatically. It is that well put together for a perk on a heavy machine gun.
I believe I also have a 7th Seraph weapon. Yes, I do. I have the 7th Seraph machine gun. It does not have auto-loading holster on it, but it does have Zen Moment and Mulligan, which I think is still a decent roll because, hey, if I'm lazy or clumsy and I miss a shot, I can get that shot back. Zen Moment, I mean, that just makes the gun more stable, so easier to shoot it so I don't miss any shots. And then I have a choice of extended or light mag, and then full bore and arrowhead break on it. So overall, I like this machine gun. Not to mention, again, if you play this game, you know how overpowered the Warmind cell builds are, and I can speak from experience. Spawning one of those things in the middle of a group and then blowing it up, very effective, also very satisfying. So yeah, if you have not made a Warmind cell build, or at least tried it, highly recommend that you do. It is very effective in almost any content that you can run in this game, and especially if you're just grinding strikes for whatever reason, you can clear rooms in no time at all. It'll make clearing any room a walk in the park.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that was one of my favorite things about the heavy machine guns, or the machine guns in general, is when you switch to it, you felt like you're a powerhouse. You're doing a lot of damage really quickly. Now, granted, the sniper rifles, certain actual sniper rifles that are heavy, are even better. Now, the one in question that a lot of people actually use, especially in raids, is the one called the Whisper of the Worm. This one in particular is probably one of the best heavy sniper rifles in the game.
Hands down. Yeah, hands down.
I don't get a chance to use it all that often, but I love it. It's one of my favorite sniper rifles that's an exotic.
Well, my play style, and again, is why Snake and I, when we play together, we complement each other very well, because he is more of a long distance person, whereas I just like to rush in and kill things. I just run in there, guns blazing, and everything.
To clarify to the folks, Dark was originally a Titan main.
In Destiny 1, yes. I was a Titan main until I completed the story in Destiny 2, the Red War campaign. I completed it on a Titan. But I am also, and pardon my language to anybody in the chat, I am also a cosmetics whore. I love cosmetics. And anyone that plays this game knows that Titans, 9 times out of 10, get royally screwed over in the cosmetic department. And the Hunters, they get some of the best looking gear in the game. So I was already...
The close second would be the actual Warlocks.
The Warlocks, hands down, yeah. And so I was already thinking about trying out a Hunter. But the thing that clinched it for me was when Forsaken came out. and I saw the trailer for Forsaken with the Hunter subclass that was introduced with that expansion, which was Blade Barrage. The minute I saw that Blade Barrage, I wanted it. I didn't care about any of the Titan Super. I didn't care about the Captain America thing. I wanted the Blade Barrage.
Well, I mean, since we're now talking about the subclasses in general, there are quite a lot of actual subclasses and what they actually do. Like, for example,
Yes.
our Hunter, you have the Arc Strider, you have the Night Stalker, you have the Gunslinger, and of course you have the newest one, the Dark subclass, which is the Stasis. The Arc Strider is just as that, is an element of Arc, and it has three tiers that you can choose, or like 3 trees rather, and each of them are unique. You have your 3 different types of grenades, you have your 3 different types of jumps, and then you have your 2 different types of dodges. Now the one dodge is called the Marksman dodge, which basically reloads automatically the weapon that you're carrying. And then there's the Gambler's dodge, which is my playstyle, is like a actual dodge roll mechanic. And then there is the Gunslinger subclass, which again, same thing as the Arc, has three trees that you can choose from. Each one of them have unique actual builds, and the super will act a little bit differently from each one. So that's another thing that you have to really look at when you're wanting to play this game too, is which one of these do I want to work with? What is my playstyle? And it's the same way with all 3 of the grenades and all 3 of the jumps and the 2 dodge mechanic ones. And going to one of my favorite light classes, I'm actually going to say it like that because it's the light, is the Night Stalker. The Night Stalker is one of my favorite light subclasses because of the fact of what it does. Basically, what it does is it shoots a bow that tethers enemies, and when enemies are tethered, your damage deals more damage. So if you're using that class and that super, every shot that you and your allies do will deal more damage. It was one of the best things that we could have used in Destiny 1 during a lot of the actual raids, because damage is everything in this game. If you are dealing enough damage, you're doing what you're meant to actually do. And then they added the Stasis, which is the first of probably 3 more, or 2 more rather, of the Dark subclasses. I'm probably almost, I would say 75% guaranteeing that there will be 2 more subclasses that has to do with the Dark actual entity of this game. What would you think actually there, Dark?
Well, considering they've now actually introduced the dark element of Stasis and just darkness as a subclass in general, there's a lot of ways that they could go with this, but one of my personal favorite ideas that I've heard online, like, say, a lot of the popular YouTubers have thrown out there, and just in the community in general that I have heard, is making a poison-based darkness subclass.
Yeah.
I mean, the Warlocks technically can almost already do this, because with the new expansion, they got a new pair of gauntlets that actually synergizes with an exotic hand cannon called Thorn. Thorn has a poison-based damage over time ability that gets stronger every time you kill an opponent and then pick up what they call I think it's a devouring soul.
Soul Devour.
Soul Devourer that the dead enemy will drop that makes the damage over time stronger. And these gauntlets basically give you the ability to spread poison into a group of enemies. And when these gauntlets dropped and people started using it with the Thorn, they found out that by shooting an enemy with the Thorn would trigger this ability with the gauntlets. So say you ran into a group of like 10 thralls, you could shoot the first thrall, kill it, but it would damage, or poison, excuse me, a bunch of the other thralls in the area, and then you could just keep shooting them and it would spread the poison around. And I think that's a really good, starting point for a interesting kind of AoE class that we don't really have in Destiny to an extent. I mean, yes, you have your explosive type subclasses with, the Titan Slam, the Blade Barrage, Nova Bomb, and stuff like that. But we don't really have a damage over time area of effect super such as the ability that you can get with the combination of these gauntlets with the Thorn. And I think if they expanded upon that and turned that into a subclass and, made a super out of it, that could be seriously interesting. Even though if they didn't balance it correctly, we could run into a situation where it could possibly outdo Stasis with how broken it could be. Especially in the Crucible. So
Yeah.
they would definitely have to do a lot of quality testing before they dropped something like this into the game, or else Crucible essentially would basically be a joke at that point, similar to what happened the first week of Beyond Light when Stasis was released.
And of course, that's the big thing. The difference between the player versus player and then the player versus the AI. That is the biggest two counterparts of this entire game. When you're in PvP, it is a different actual atmosphere entirely, and yet it's never really balanced. They tried to balance. They try to balance it, but it never is actually balanced the way it should be, especially with all the different types of supers and subclasses that have into this actual game. That's been the biggest issue with this game when it comes to PvP. None of it is really balanced.
Well, and the problem is they keep trying to change the meta, and then occasionally you'll run into a meta that 90% of the community hates. I didn't hear a whole lot of complaining a couple months ago when the auto rifles were meta. I could be wrong. I wasn't really playing at that point, but I was still keeping tabs on, what was going on with the game on YouTube with,
Right.
YouTubers. Yeah. And stuff like that, but I wasn't really playing at that point. But I didn't hear a lot of complaints about that, say, when, a lot of people seem to have an issue whenever hand cannons end up becoming meta. People get really tired of hand cannons really fast, and the overabundance of hand cannons in this game seems to be a sore spot for some players. Now,
Well,
personally,
not only that though, just if you just look on the amount of different exotic hand cannons that are in this
Yeah.
game right now,
That
that is
too,
a
yeah.
tremendous amount of hand cannons that are in the game. And
Well, I mean,
I kid you not, where
Forsaken,
a lot
like,
of them are really crazily stupid and overpowered in the Crucible.
well, not only that, but I mean, if you look at when Forsaken first came out, like, the first 5, okay, not the first 5, but I would say most of the exotics that were introduced in Forsaken, or should I say reintroduced, in Forsaken, and 1 or 2 in the base game and first couple of expansions, were all exotic hand cannons.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Last Word, which was broken for a while. Thorn, which, well, if you played Destiny 2, you've probably played Destiny 1, so you are obviously familiar with the infamy of Destiny 1 Thorn. So that needs no explanation. But they brought back Thorn, they brought back Ace of Spades, which is my personal favorite hand cannon. I love Ace of Spades. And then they recently just brought back now it's my turn to have a mind fart. The most recent hand cannon they brought back with the Hawkmoon, thank you. Which, again, Hawkmoon in and of itself, kind of overpowered. Yes, you have to be stupid accurate with it to get it to that level, but I mean, the ability to literally get a couple of headshots and then turn around to a Guardian and basically one-shot him in the body. Granted, you have to do a lot to get to that point, but to a certain degree, that's overpowered. Thorn. I'm gonna explain it anyway, I don't care, but, I mean, damage over time. It's annoying. I know how annoying it is.
I mean,
You
yes,
can't heal.
it was nerfed recently,
It was nerfed,
but it wasn't
yes.
nerfed enough
No.
to really be a factor of the actual nerf.
No, it wasn't. Which, to a certain degree, is for people that like to use the gun, not a bad thing, because, I mean, we all know that there are certain weapons in the game that if you take them into the Crucible, there's no way else you can look at it. You're not going to have a fun time. You're just going to be outmatched in every way, shape, or form because the gun is just not great. And there's a lot of them, especially exotics. Same thing with the armor. Some of the armor pieces, especially exotic armor, are just not good with the current state of the game. They just have no use in the game. And they're just not good, and people just prefer to use better pieces of exotic armor, especially since you can only wear one piece of exotic armor and only have one exotic weapon at a time. People have to pick and choose. They're going to go with the best that they can get. And there's a lot of stuff out there that's just not great. Especially if you're going up against a team of tryhards in the Crucible that are using top rolled armor with the best weapons in the game, and they're rocking, grenade launchers, rocket launchers, which are meta now, apparently, and shotguns, because I think we can all agree, shotguns, to a certain extent, are also overpowered. To a certain extent. Granted, you have to be in a certain range to get the one-shot kill, but it's still a one-shot kill.
It's the same way with the fusion rifles as well. The fusion rifles, you have to be a certain actual range to get that one-shot kill, but also there are certain exotics or fusion rifles that can be far away and actually do it in one shot regardless.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. The fusion rifles are another one of these special weapon types that definitely is one of those that would cause a lot of people a lot of freaking grief because oh, it shoots once, but it's a really powerful one shot. Unlike the other special weapons like your sidearms, your sniper rifles, and your bows, which you have to be really accurate with the bow to get
With a bow,
one shot kill.
Well, not only that, but with a fusion rifle, it shoots out several bolts at a time in some cases. So you're essentially looking at an energy pellet shotgun to a certain extent, and if you get hit with enough of those bolts, which can have a pretty good spread on them in some cases, there's nothing you can do. And you're gonna die, and in most cases, fusion rifles have a longer range than shotguns do. So dude can literally one tap you from across the room if he has the correct fusion rifle with the right amount of perks and mods on it. He can take you out from across the room, no problem.
And to clarify what type of fusion rifle that we are actually talking about, and I'm going to the Kiosk, the exotic Kiosk is what this is actually called, technically. Would be, if I can find it here, and I think let's see. It is...
I think I know which one you're gonna pull out.
It's this one here. The Jatuna, whatever. It's the one.
Jotun.
This one in particular was one from a old season, which I don't have it, and there's a reason for it. I don't like fusion rifles. Fusion rifles are
I don't either.
really, really stupid, in my own honest opinion. But you will see this particular exotic fusion rifle in the Crucible all the time. Why? Because it has a long-range shot impact round that can be fired from long range, and if it hits you, it's instant death.
It's game over. Not to mention, back when it was first released, that round had a little bit of tracking to it, so if the enemy shot within...
It still does.
No, it still does?
It still does.
I'm surprised they haven't nerfed that yet. Anyway, okay, so since it still does, that round can track you. So if they are, say, like 5 feet off of getting a direct hit on you, that round will slightly curve and still hit you. Now, I'm not saying it's not truth level of tracking. It's nowhere near that strong. But it's still annoying. It's still very, very annoying, especially if you don't see it coming. And even if you see it coming, it's still annoying. So, yeah.
It's never fun to go against, and I've gone against it almost about 75% of the time that I've gone into Crucible. It's that bad of an actual fusion rifle. It is ridiculously overpowered on how fast it can hit anything.
It is.
So
and the reload is unbelievably fast for a fusion rifle too.
Oh yeah, it's worse. Now there are other fusion rifles that are exotic that are just as bad, I would say. And one of them, of course, is Telesto. Telesto has this effect. It's kind of funny considering that it pretty much is like the Needler from Halo, the Halo days, which is, of course, another Bungie game in general. So they created Halo and they created this game too. So it's just like you made the the so-called Needler,
Needler 2.0,
as a
basically.
fusion rifle in this game.
It's
Brilliant
basically
budget.
Needler 2.0.
The only thing you can't do is
Like,
dual
really?
wield. That'd be actually kind of odd if you can dual wield fusion rolls. Ugh. Something that I'm kind of glad, and this is a actual pro of the game, is not being able to dual wield any type of weapon, because that would just be broken.
No. Okay, we're not even gonna go there. Like, dude, no. Like, dual wielding in this game would be absolutely broken. That would be so stupidly broken. I don't think they would ever have a chance of balancing anything in this game. If they
That's
did
why
that.
I say it's a pro and not a
No way.
con, because if they were thinking about doing it, which God forbid if they actually did, it would have been like the worst decision possibly ever to
It would be.
basically make the ability to dual wield, say, hand cannons, and 2 exotic hand cannons. You would think that would be really, really bad of them to actually do so, because if you, for example, and I'm going to look at one of my 2 favorite actual hand cannons for the statement of the actual thing,
Okay.
if you add Thorn as a dual wield weapon with the last word,
Oh God.
which
Oh,
would be broken to no end, because the last word itself is automatic hit fire. So that itself
Like,
would be,
no.
because when
That
I
would-
actually think about
no.
it'd be like if even this combo, the Thorn with the Malfeasance. Now the Malfeasance, I mean, yeah, it would be perfect for doing like the Gambit, but for all intents and purposes, dual wielding would be a really bad thing to have in this game entirely. So that was
Completely,
one
yeah.
thing that I would not ever want into this game.
No,
And
not ever. Jesus. That would just, no. If they ever did put that sort of a system in this game, I would be done. I would be straight up done. Because there would be no way you would be even feasibly be able to balance this game at all if you put a dual wielding system, because people would find the most broken combinations ever to use in the game, and you would have to plan all around that, and it would just be a nightmare to try to play around.
oh yeah,
It would,
I mean, it
yeah.
really would, because I mean, it is interesting as dual wielding is in other games, such as like Red Dead Online. For using that as an actual example, you can dual wield, revolvers and stuff like that are basically like their version of the hand cannons in this game. But on top of that, they are less accurate when you're using both of them. So you have to keep that in mind when you're actually thinking about that as well. It's one of those things that you decide the whole factor of, which revolver do I really want to use? Do I want to use the longer range one? Do I want to use the short range one? And then the reload speed in Red Dead, of course, is very much a lot slower than it is in this game, for just using that as an actual example. Another one of B is like the difference between like Halo and the way that the dual wielding works in that game versus what it would work in any other game. I mean, there's a lot of games that have that mechanic, and sometimes it just doesn't work as much or proper as it would in, say, all the old classic like Red Dead style.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like, no, that and Red Dead's shooting mechanics are completely different since it is a third-person game instead of a first-person. But still, the point is true. It just would not work in Destiny as well as it would in other games. It just wouldn't. It would just break the game. It really
No,
would.
it would. Not only did it would break the game, but the Crucible would be a freaking mess. You would be running into all sorts of issues throughout the whole entire Crucible, just trying to figure out what is everyone using, what's the new meta going to be, and so forth. Should I use Thorn? Should I use Last Word? Should I use Malfeasance? Should I use Hawkmoon? If just throwing those out there, or even some of the legendary ones as well. Which one of the hand cannons should I even use if that would have been an actual thing? Like the Steady Hand. I mean, Steady Hand is a really good legendary hand cannon, and it's from the actual Iron Banner. I've used it on numerous occasions. It's really good. I like it. But would I put that with like the Thorn or Malfeasance if I was wanting to dual wield? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't shoot as fast as say like Last Word or any of the other exotic hand cannons or even some of the other legendaries that I've used. So with that and everything, I really don't see them being able to really push that forward and making a dual wielding mechanic work.
I don't either. Not unless they did and I mean a lot of quality testing before they even thought about dropping it into the game. Like, it would just be entirely broken if not done correctly. It really would.
Yeah. I definitely agree to that standard. But let's see. I mean, as far as like weapon types, would you want to have new weapon types put into the game?
Ooh. That's actually a really good question.
Well, while you're thinking about that, I'm going to load us into like a Crucible private match, so we can test out some of the things that we would use.
Okay. You almost gave me a heart attack there for a second when you said Crucible. I was like, oh god.
No, I'm not going to throw you against other people except my own.
I mean, I'll do one-on-one for a little bit, and then maybe after I get my bearings back, because it has been forever and a decade since I've stepped foot in the Crucible, then we could probably jump into an actual match against other people. Just no Iron Banner tonight, please. Like, maybe tomorrow night, but not tonight.
I wasn't going to do that to you, you know that.
I don't want to embarrass myself in front of the lovely audience. Because
no, I wouldn't do that to you, you know
that.
But yeah, so I mean, the question that I do have for you and everyone else out there is, if you could have a new weapon type of anything, what would it be and why?
Well, here's an interesting idea just popped into my head. With the Hunter subclass, the Arc Strider, they get the staff, as the weapon that shows up during the super. Why not actually put a staff in the game as a kind of another option, except for, say, a sword? If you didn't want to use a sword, you could use a staff. It would be slightly faster, but, you know, a little less damage than a sword.
You're on your own. Every
So it'd
kill,
be,
every
you know,
death is
balanced
yours.
in that way. Oh, okay.
So basically, more melee, like melee type of weapons.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Like for example, the hammer that the Titan even uses. That would be
Oh,
a
yeah.
very interesting type of like weapon type to really use, and I would not mind that one bit. I would think that that would be a very interesting weapon type to really use, and so forth. So using all of the aspects of, say, different melees instead of like having like the swords. I mean, these swords are the only melee type of heavy weapon that is in the game, technically.
Yeah.
So having different types of heavy weapons would be really good. I mean, yeah, you have the rockets, you have the grenade launchers, you have bows, you have sniper rifles, you have fusion rifles that are heavy, that are, I think, only exotic, but yeah. But I mean, I digress. When it comes to heavies, I think that they should have more heavies than what they already have in the game.
It's time, Guardian.
I agree.
I don't really want them to go like super crazy with them. I mean, you have the linear fusion rifles as well, which, I mean, some of those are really cool in their own sense, but I don't really think that they should make too many different weapon types for heavies.
No. I was thinking like maybe the staff could be like almost a special weapon versus heavy. Like, because swords are, you know, they are heavy. You know, some are designed to be heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I would say that the staff could be more of a, you know, a middle range, or excuse me, special weapon versus, you know, swords, which are, you know, usually in the heavy slot and do a lot more damage. The staff would be a little more risk reward because you would have to be in roughly the same range, but it would do just a tad bit less damage, but you would get that trade-off because of the speed factor.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree to that standard of, yeah, sure, I would want to have a staff. That would be really cool.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
as interesting as it would be to not only have that, but also,
Yep. And
maybe
see, there's the... I just
maybe-
demonstrated the bad part of shotguns.
well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, what were you saying? I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm sorry.
Dead man hit like a truck.
That thing does hit like a truck. Holy cow. I am not gonna lie. That thing hits hard. Hey, shit, no. Loading.
But also, if I think, like, nunchucks, size, turtle type of like weaponry, Ninja Turtle type of weaponry.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool to have some of those type of like weapons into the game that are melee style. Now I don't want them to like turn this into like a Warframe type of like scenario. No, I don't want that. But
No.
I would like for them to have a different variety of like melee type of weaponry. Just to give us like a different, archetype, as it were.
Yeah. I agree. I do agree. Oh, that is a thing.
Now,
Okay,
this
yeah.
is
Yeah,
what we were saying about
Yeah.
the whole meta and the whole difference in the Crucible and how the Crucible actually works. And,
Yep,
showing basically the audience, this is what you have to deal with in the Crucible. Sometimes it's
yeah.
going to be a pulse rifle, sometimes it's going to be a scout rifle, sometimes it's going to be a shotgun, sometimes it's going to be a sidearm. It's going to be all sorts of crazy things that are not really balanced, like at all.
Not to mention, I'm automatically at a disadvantage because I'm using a pulse rifle against a scout rifle.
But you're using the No Time to Explain, which is one of the most
exotic.
potent actual pulse
Yes.
rifles in the game.
I'm actually surprised I lived through that because I did get caught in your slow effect. So yeah.
Hence why we say something's broken.
Oh. Yep. And I'm dead. Yep.
You can't get out of it. If it
I
hits
tried.
you, like
I tried.
if this ult or super rather hits you remotely, even like close, it's going to freeze you.
Yeah.
Regardless if you want it to or not.
Wow, okay, that completely whiffed. Jeez, they did nerf the heck out of that. Okay. I'm surprised I whiffed on that so bad. Okay.
Hence why the difference of all the
Yeah.
supers nowadays is you look at one super and then it changes to be like completely another different. So it's like what did
Alright.
work doesn't work as much anymore.
Yeah, because back in the day, if I had done that previously, that would have ended the fight right there. Because Blade Barrage used to be the super killer. You know, it was the super you used to stop another super. So yeah, ooh, you switched guns. Oh crap, I forgot no ability.
Well, Blade Barrage, yeah, sure, would have been like the go-to, but because of the stasis, now that's kind of changed, and now the stasis is where if you see someone using a super, then I can just use the stasis and knock you out of it.
Yeah. Well, considering this is the first time I've done PvP in forever, I don't think I'm doing half bad.
All things considered, of course.
Well, I mean, yeah. And I haven't touched this game in like a year. Ah, crap. Lost my element of surprise. Oh, you switched.
I switched to Hawkmoon
Yep.
for the test.
For the test. Alright, well, let me get off of-
and to show people different varieties of different builds and what they can use.
Well, let me go to my favorite hand cannon, which I'm probably going to be garbage using, considering I have not touched this hand cannon in quite some time. Still my favorite though. I love this hand cannon. Plus the exotic effect on it is really good. Basically, every time you get a critical hit, it creates an explosion. Wow.
Only
It's
5 minutes left.
It's got a longer range a little bit than the
Yeah.
Hawkmoon does.
I forgot about that too.
I will say that is the Hawkmoon. Its range is not as up to par as like Ace of Spades.
That and after you get it going, Ace of Spades is kind of hard to stop because of its Momentum Mori perk, which gives you bonus damage for 6 shots. And
This
6 out of
with
6 out of
Hawkmoon,
13.
it's the last shot.
Yeah. Yep, and yeah, I whiffed my first 2 shots on that one, so. But yeah, Momentum Mori, you get 6 bonus damage bullets out of 13 in the magazine. And if those are critical shots, then you can basically 3-tap somebody if the situation is correct.
Where with Hawkmoon, if you're getting those shots to connect, and then you go to your last shot, your last shot's gonna be like your most damaging shot ever, and it shows.
Yep. I don't know, that Hawkmoon still has pretty good range.
I just have to be real accurate with it, though. That's the only problem that I have with it.
Yeah, but not bad. Not to mention, I actually really do like that
3
ornament
minutes left.
on it.
You're in the lead.
That slow effect is... Jesus. I was really surprised I was able to hit that last shot. So I was going to be kind of irritated if I lost by 1 round.
Well, I mean, like I said, that's Hawkmoon for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, that is Hawkmoon. Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Right here. Oh, okay. I know which one you're using now. Okay,
I gotta
let me use
use
some-
I gotta use my
I know you
favorite
gotta
one
use
of all
it.
time.
I know. Okay. Okay, since you switched, I'm going to switch to one of my... Even though Ace of Spades is my favorite hand cannon, I'm going to switch to my all-time favorite, which I'm probably going to lose this next fight, but that's okay. Yep. I didn't know you were right there. Alright. Let's see.
Of course, Suros Regime.
Suros Regime. My favorite gun since Destiny 1. Hey, at least I'm not being cheap with it. I'm not using spinning up. Ooh.
Stay frozen
You've
for a
lost the
second.
lead.
No.
1 minute remains. You're in second.
Oh. But I whipped that jump. I whipped that jump so bad.
Yeah, you kind of got stuck on the ground, or the wall, rather.
I did. I did. I realized as soon as it happened, I was like, oh god.
Ooh, a free target!
Yeah.
30
I
seconds
was like,
left.
oh dear
You're
God,
leading.
no.
Hold fast.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all or nothing. Overtime. Let's do this.
Ah! Freaking use pulse rifles too long.
There are certain like auto rifles that are still really good in the Crucible, and then yeah, that happens.
It's
Yeah.
all or nothing.
I haven't gone up against a thorn in a while. This is...
You've taken everything. First place goes to you. The
Well,
victory
tie
was
game.
yours.
I came from
Balls
behind. That... I'm
Because you're Cirrus Jam.
good with the Soros regime, what can I say? I've said from day one, from Destiny 1, auto rifles are my weapon. And it still holds true, but hey, for considering how many kills I got with the frickin' Ace of Spades, I'm pretty happy. Because I rarely use hand cannons.
Well, I mean, as we keep on saying, is that's just the way the meta works. Is a lot of things in the game can change in a different actual variety of like different types of weapons. You would be used to using one weapon for a while and during certain parts of the actual meta, or then sometimes that one is not as useful, then a new one comes into the play, like such as like the hand cannons or the pulse rifles, or you know, some that you would not think would be part of it
Rumble.
and end up actually being. So that's one of the things that is always
You
been
against the world.
like one of the biggest parts of the Crucible is it always is changing.
It's always changing, yeah. Alright. I will switch my gun every kill, so my first gun will be Suros, but after that I will change. I honestly don't know how I was able to kill you before I got frozen, but okay.
It takes a while to get it frozen. It takes a couple of like seconds.
Yeah,
almost.
they-
It's got a little
yeah,
bit of
'cause
delay if you're not using
they did nerf it.
the certain grenade. So that's part of it.
Yeah, they did nerf it as well with the frozen Crucible. Crap. Ah! That was a gun I actually really wanted to get my hands on. was
Oh,
the
this one is
7
great.
Carbine.
It is so
I
good.
wanted to get. I want it because it also can make those cells.
Of course, Outbreak.
I love Outbreak. I just, like I said, after using Suros, I'm not used to the... Okay, I'll change now, though. Because otherwise, Because honestly, every time I go in Crucible, I'm using Outbreak, so yeah.
Well, it's a good gun to use in the Crucible for sure.
It's really good. I love using it in Crucible.
Cold Denial. I haven't
That
seen
one-
a lot of that being used.
It's good. That's why I was using it the last couple of nights, because, I mean, you just saw it hits like a truck for a pulse rifle. Like, it hurts. Ah. Ah, Polaris Lance. Haven't seen you use that one in a minute.
Yeah, it's still one of my favorite actual scout rifles. That
It's
is,
good.
it's a special scout rifle, so it still
Yeah.
holds up. Especially long
it
range.
does. Oh yeah, long range, it's a beast.
Tradesy!
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I honestly don't know how that last shot connected. I really don't. Okay, let's see what else I got. I don't have a lot of primaries in my inventory here. Well, I have this one.
Yeah, I'm
See how
about
I
to
do.
get nasty.
I don't know how I'm gonna do with this one. I have never used this one in Crucible, so we'll see how this goes.
You would use my bane of existence against me.
Hey, in my defense, I only did it because I've never used it in a Crucible match. Jesus Christ.
Again, it's my bane of existence. For a reason. And to clarify, people,
Wow.
Monte Carlo, for me, in Destiny 1, was my curse. I got it almost instantly with everything that I could possibly get. Yoink. Yoink.
In my defense, I was checking
It's
a
time,
message right
Guardian.
there.
Crush them.
Well,
I know, not a good idea, especially when I was sitting in the middle of the map.
yeah, that's your own fault.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I didn't do anything. Also, to be fair, I didn't see what you hit me with on that one.
Oh, you will.
Probably. Oh. Oh. Fudge. Nice shot. Very nice shot. I'm not even mad about that one. That was just a good shot. Okay.
Surprisingly, almost got out of it.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh my god, if he actually gets out of it, that's gonna be a problem.
What are you doing?
Getting rid of the heavy ammo. Okay. What else do I have? To be fair, I only have one more primary unless I get something out of my collections. This one will be interesting. I usually don't use these as primaries. I'll have to remember about that Monte Carlo though.
It's a beast in the Crucible still. I mean, I've used it when
yeah.
when I got it way back when, and it still holds up.
I was not expecting it to hit that hard because I thought they had done something to the 900 round per minute. So yeah. Oh, this is gonna be bad. Fudge. All right, fair's fair.
Oh no!
da, 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 da.
Okay. Gotta get back into the habit of checking. Ah, crap. Whoa! Alright then. Again.
What was that?
Did not. That was a submachine gun. I'll tell you the name of that. I was not expecting it to. It's the escape velocity. It's got and Vorpal weapon. I kept it simply because of Vorpal weapon.
I mean, SMGs are really good in the games. I mean, especially for close range. They can be really deadly, especially if you're getting like the heads up on someone.
Yeah, but again, oh, ruinous FG. Oh god, that okay, that one.
Yeah, it does things.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what it does. That's the thing.
Yeah, it does things. It does crazy things.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know what it does. I know what it does. I don't want to be around you when you do the thing.
Okay.
Fucker.
It's like, okay, I'll just do this then.
Now make it rain.
Yeah, I'm starting to see why everybody gets mad at stasis. That's really annoying, especially since I don't have any of the aspects yet. So I don't have any of the upgrades for the subclass. I don't even have the Shatter Dive, which I actually really want. That would actually make a lot of PvE a lot better. Okay. Dang it!
Only 5 minutes left.
If I'd hit that second one.
Right.
Yeah, I missed the second shuriken. But yeah, the grenade is really useful, but it's with freezing and everything, but it's like I don't have the Shatter Dive, so I can't do the wombo combo that everybody likes to do with the Icicle grenade. So yeah. Bad idea. Yep. Frickin' falling guillotine.
I heard you, and then all of a sudden you were right there in front of me. I was like,
I
oh,
know.
there he is.
I know. I was like, because I heard you at like the last minute. I was like, he's gotta be around here somewhere. And then, yeah, like right around the corner. I was like, ah. Oh, I have the...
I need a hunter like you with the red jacks.
Okay, it's not even telling me what gun that was.
Oh, you'll get to see it again.
I'm just saying, like, yeah. Really? Okay, I goofed.
You
You're in
really
first
goofed.
place.
I really goofed because I thought for sure it picked up the frickin' ammo and then
3 minutes left. You're
next
in
thing
the
I
lead.
know, frickin' A.
Make them cry.
Just whiffs on the frickin' thing. Okay, time to take off Mr. Submachine Gun, even though I will remember you for in the future. You know what? Just for the occasion, I'm not going to my collections tab and I'm going to see what I've got. Hmm. Let's see. Ah. Wow, okay, so they've kind of nerfed a lot of stuff here in the freaking collections, dear lord.
Okay, so 3 shots of that arm. No.
Hmm. Alright, let's see.
I mean, this is basically our personal sandbox of testing out weapons and seeing what they do.
Crap. Ah. Ah. Every time.
1 minute left.
Oh!
You're leading.
I'm
1
actually really
second.
surprised.
That's all you had is 1 second.
1 second, and then I freaking just, oh my god, that was insane how I did not think that was gonna work at all.
"30 seconds left. You're leading. Hold fast."
Okay.
It's all or nothing.
I mean, I'm still gonna lose. I'm okay with that. I don't care.
You've
I forgot how
taken
good this pair of
everything.
devils was, though.
First place goes to
Jeez.
you.
Yeah, but in any
You can
case,
fight
I
on
think
my
that's going to do
side
it for us
anytime, Guardian.
for tonight. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all later. Have a good night. Bye.
Have a good night, everybody.